Hello, once again, if you've just switched over from Euro Formula, or a very warm welcome and good morning from France. My name is Harry Benjamin. I'll be guiding you throughout this weekend's coverage. It's an absolute pleasure to have your company. We're at the circuit, Paul Ricard in Le Castellet, not too far from Marseille, in the south of France. It's round one of the 2021 International GTOpen Series. 7 different car brands, 13 teams, 16 cars on the grid, with more to join throughout the year. Means the battle has never been closer between Pro, Pro-Am and Am. 2 races to look forward to this weekend, with a grid packed full of former champions, reigning champions, young guns fighting their way to the top in one of the most competitive GT3 racing categories in Europe. 7 stops on the calendar as well to Europe's top Grand Prix tracks. The 2021 International GTOpen Series kicks off here in France, and then we go to Spa, Hungary, Italy, Austria, and finish off in Barcelona in October. And I'm very pleased to say Elliot sits alongside me to go through it all this week. It's been a fair wait, but we're back underway for International GTOpen. Yeah,
one of the best racing series in the world in my mind. Lots of entertainment and lots of variety in the cars essentially. And we've only got 1 driver in each car in this session, driver 1. And we'll have a second session this weekend where the second driver of each car will be in action. We've already got several of the cars already on track.
Yeah, straight out there. There's the number 17, the HB Racing International Lamborghini Huracan, and it's good to see Lamborghini back. There's a few of them out on there, and because everybody loves a Lamborghini, they just look so good. Elliot, you were telling me all weekend you love a Lamborghini. Yeah,
it's a car that's a very long time associated with International GTOpen, so it's great to have them back this year, and all the other brands on the grid. You know, there's so much variety and lots of, I guess, rivalries there as well between the brands, not only on the track, but obviously off the track as well, because they want to sell these cars to new customers.
A 30-minute session this, as Elliot said, with driver 1, their nominated first driver, and who will set their pace for the first race, and then we'll have another qualifying session with the second driver in it tomorrow for the second race. Loads of manufacturers out on track as well. As I said, 7 different car brands: Audi, Bentley, Lamborghini, Mercedes, McLaren, Honda. We've even got a Ford out there as well. I think it's very international, which I suppose is quite an apt name for it. But it's so good to have such a packed grid with such variety, because it's going to mean the racing is even closer than we've ever had it before.
Yeah, really close, i.e. it's open. That's why it's called International GTOpen.
It's like they named it for a reason, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, and it attracts very good drivers because of that. Because, you know, you can be in any car with any co-driver and any team, and you can essentially still win. And especially with the strategic element, we're seeing the number 48 of Nico Bastin going through the first few corners, really hitting the limiter already around this track. Obviously, you know, a lot of these drivers have tested and raced at Paul Ricard so many times, they know at least one of the configurations of the track like the back of their hand. How many configurations are there?
167, I'll have you know.
Yeah, so they're going to have to make sure they don't go down any of the escape roads that used to be layouts for other races they've done. And we're now on board with Al Faisal Azubert and the Lechner Racing Porsche. Lechner Racing, obviously a hugely successful team.
11-time champions in the Porsche Mobil 1 Super Cup, trying their hand. They had a couple of guest runs last year, but they've gone for a full run this year with a great lineup in Al Faisal Azubert and Andy Soucek. But I was doing a little snoop around earlier behind the garages, and I don't know if this was caught or they've said anything about it, but I have seen a bit of a battered front bumper from a Lechner Racing car. So we've had free practice obviously yesterday, so they're obviously trying to find the limits before qualifying, which is what they need to do.
Yeah, and potentially one of the places where you can get a little bit of bump damage, as we saw coming through those final corner there, is these, I call them paddles. So they're on the exit of the curbs, on the exit of the corners, and they're to deter drivers from breaking track limits. So they basically kind of just stand out and make you wary of them. And in GT racing, that is quite significant, because you're sitting so far back in the car, especially if you're in a Mercedes, because obviously it's a front-engine machine, and you can't see your wheels either because it's a closed-door car. So it's really important to have those clearly defined track limits, and especially when you're racing as well.
Yeah, I'm watching the number 15, Dominic Schramel, right now in the Twin Butch by Equipe Vitesse team with that Mercedes AMG GT3 car. But another new change for this year as well is, of course, the JP Motorsport team have changed cars, haven't they? They've gone for a McLaren 720S with Christian Kleen at the wheel in this qualifying session as well. Patrick Kapinski will come in tomorrow. And they are feeling very happy with themselves right now. They say they still need a lot more mileage in the car to really get to understand this new car. But Christian Kleen wants pole.
Yeah, it's a good lineup. It's bringing a lot of experience, but with a new car, it's so many new challenges, totally different systems. And you know, while we have the Volkswagen Audi group, there's some similarity between, say, the Audi and the Lamborghini. You know, the McLaren is so distinct from those and very different as you're going into the chicane on the Mistral straight. One of the hardest corners actually on this track because it's such a speed change as well as a direction change. You really have to slow the car down, get it planted on the apexes, and then make sure that you are in the slipstream of another car on the exit of the corner. As we follow the number 48 going into the same chicane, it's also interesting how many drivers take a lot of curb here. You know, the more confident you are, the more curb you tend to take. However, that can scrub speed off as well.
Again, though, we've got to be careful of track limits as we watch Nico Bastian, who goes purple in the first sector, ever so slightly up in the second. He's currently second, first of the Pro-Am drivers though, just 0.05 of a second back from Jordan Pepper in the Bentley Team Lazarus car, who's currently on top with a 2.08. But we saw it just now in the Euro Formula qualifying that track limits is, again, well, it's such an issue in the whole of motorsport, but here especially we're seeing more and more times deleted at crucial moments, and you've got to be careful here because although the blue and red runoff that you're seeing, the nice stripes on the side of the road, looks very nice, you don't want to stray out on them because A, you might not gain any time, and if you do gain time, you'll have it deleted, but you can also be punished for it as well because although the black and blue is quite nice asphalt instead of maybe perhaps gravel, which some might argue they want, you don't want to go into that red zone, which is a deeper, more abrasive structure causing extreme tyre wear because it's so much grippier, so you've got to be super careful you don't do that. As we watch Nico Bastian come across the line, what can he do? He goes first, but look, Jordan Pepper is purple in both sectors so far, so that team Bentley Lazarus is doing a brilliant job so far because of course they had a bit of a up and down testing, had to miss one of the days or a couple of the days due to damage, and of course last year here both Bentleys got into a bit of an incident.
Yes, it wasn't the greatest of years in 2020. It was very up and down. Remember, flashing is not allowed.
I was just about to say.
Yeah. You know, it's very bright sunshine now. I don't think they need to flash their lights at each other. But we currently actually have, with Bastien Fasters, we have a Pro-Am car on pole. So we have 3 classes in International GTOpen. Pro, where you have 2 pro drivers. Pro-Am, where it's combo, and then Am, where sometimes you actually only have 1 driver in the car entirely. But going back to the track limits, they are sharing cars. They're not only letting themselves down if they have their lap deleted, they're letting down their teammates who's watching in the pits and going, well, I'd really like to start high up the grid today. Please set a good lap.
The shame of if you're the one to blame. We're getting a lot of, remember, flashing is not allowed, so we see it in the race as well to try, it's a tactic, isn't it, to try and let people know I'm here to force someone into a mistake. But really, it's not really fair to do that in qualifying, is it?
Yeah, not at all. And with such good visibility of Paul Ricard anyway, you know, there's no real blind corners. You can see the cars clearly ahead. It's not like you're going to creep up behind them and tell them, like, oh, please get out of my way. They can see you from quite far away and know that they're behind you. Car number 14 has had their lap deleted for track limits at turn 15. So that's at the very end of the lap, actually. That's the final corner. So they've gone wide there. That's going to drop them way down the order. That is Florian Scholz, the AM class driver. 2 of our pro class cars haven't actually set a lap yet. And because of that lap deletion, Scholz hasn't set one either. Currently, Bastian's still on pole, 2 minute 0.577. He's actually going to cross the line again, potentially with another improvement. Will he go under 2 minutes? We're going to see. And it doesn't look like he has.
No, it doesn't.
Slow final sector.
Not happy with that. Well, it is Nico Bastian at the moment on pole for Pro-Am and overall, actually, with a 2 minute 5. Jordan Pepper, the first of the pro drivers, is second. Laurie Spinelli third, Joe Osborne is in 4th, and then we have Dominic Schramel 5th, Florian Scholz in 6th, who has now set a new lap time after it was deleted previously. We're going to be seeing that a lot, I think, but we are now following Joe Osborne, the Inception Racing team, or Optimum Motorsport. We're not quite sure which way to go with on that one.
One of those names is potentially a dream, but we'll never know.
Well, He's dreaming quite nicely at the moment. Oh, he was dreaming quite nicely. He was up in both first two sectors, but then 6/10 down at the end. But still in fourth, and another. That's car number 48. Another lap time deleted.
And that is Nico Bastien, but that was the lap he's just set, which is slightly slower than his provisional pole lap. So that's not going to affect his position at the top. Jordan Pepper didn't improve either. He's now come into the pits. So looks like drivers, have found the limit and then aren't being able to get past it. A lot of these fastest laps have been on the very first flying lap or the second one.
Well, it's interesting. We did see that, though, in the Euro Formula as well. And I know we're talking two very different types of car here. But after the little break where they all went back into the pit lane and we started to see times were not really getting any faster, and then right at the very end suddenly people were finding pace. But that final sector does seem very tricky to keep that lap time, as Loris Spinelli's just found out, because he's gone purple in the first two but then can't make any time in that final sector. Currently sits in third in the number 47 car, but driving a Mercedes AMG. But are we seeing tyre wear issues coming into play already? Are they getting too hot and then going off in that final sector, which means they can't keep that lap time?
Quite potentially. We actually see the Mercedes kind of lose it over the curbs there, which is the case in point, actually, that, if you do push too hard on those tyres, the tyres just will stop gripping to the track and they'll start sliding. As we go back to the pits, the brilliant Honda NSX currently on the jack, so it's not actually going to be moving at all for some time. That's Jens Renault Moller, currently in 8th place on the times, but isn't going to be setting a lap anytime soon. There's still 19 minutes left, so plenty of time to get back on track. Now looking at the number 22 Audi of Sean Balfe of Balfe Motorsport. Very kind of classic Audi R8 livery, actually, very reminiscent when the car first came out in the late 2000s. He's about to cross the line. It could be an improvement. It does. He goes to 13th place, 2 minute 4.214.
I've got a soft spot for an Audi R8, I must say. There's just something about them. I just think just look at that design and the sleekness and the way the headlights are incorporated. It's a very exciting lineup as well, with Sean Balfe and Adam Carroll in there. But we'll switch over to the Lettner Racing team now, of Alfie Zalazubert and Andy Soucek. Alfie Zalazubert in the qualifying session first, and it's a maiden run really for Lettner Racing, and who did have a couple of guest outings last year, just stepping their toe into the international GTOpen, and they liked what they found, so they've come back for a full run at it. And at the moment, Al-Zubair not finding any time at the moment, but it's only 1,000th, or just under 1,000th of a tenth of a thousandth, however you say it, off his previous time. But then, as I'm saying, are they not able to keep that tyre temperature in for that last sector, because he's nearly a second up?
Yeah, and it puts a lot of load on the car as well because of the very long apexes of those final corners, the long left, long right, long left again. And also it's the corners where you're most likely going to have a problem with traffic, because in the first sector, a car can kind of get out of the way. Second sector, obviously very long straight, very easy for them to. Third sector, even if you're going to try and slow down, if you kind of go offline, because of the way the track changes direction, you're suddenly kind of back online as you go into the next corner. So really hard to overtake cars in that final sector, and that's where traffic does cause an issue.
Well, now watching the number 7 Inception Racing car with a McLaren 720S. Brendan Irie, Benori and Ollie McElroy at the wheel this weekend. It's currently Brendan Irie in 8th at the car at the moment with the 2:02, currently 1.8 seconds off the pace, and not improving either, so we're not seeing any kind of lap time gain at the moment. 3/10 up in the first sector, actually just over 7/10 up in the second sector. So you think there must come a point where you can see the delta time in the cockpit. Sometimes you think they must have demoralised you a little bit as a driver, because you keep seeing plus after so long.
yeah, and at Paul Ricard as well, it's because none of the corners are really, there's not many landmarks per se. You go, oh, well, I braked this late, etc., because it's very kind of, it all looks like the same. It also makes it harder to find those gains without going back and looking at the data. You can't really see where you've gone wrong. You can feel it sometimes, especially if the car's understeering, oh, that's a setup issue. But let's say you've braked a little late into one corner, it's just curves and runoff and curves and runoff. And it is really hard for a driver to master Paul Ricard. Very difficult, although obviously if you break track limits, you can go very fast. Well,
it's currently Nico Bastien on top with a 2:05, with a 2 minute and 5/10 of a second, and top for Pro-Am actually, and top overall. Then it's Jordan Pepper and the Team Lazarus Bentley, the number 4 car, just 0.02 of a second back from him. Loris Spinelli currently in 3rd, Joe Osborne 4th, Al-Faisal Al-Zubair in 5th, Dominic Schramel 6th. Florian Schulze in 7th, Brent Nyrieb 8th, and Frederick Schandorf 9th. And then Baptiste Moulon is currently in the top 10. Then Sean Balfe just outside it at the moment in that beautiful Audi R8, which I've got a big soft spot for. But as I was saying, it's a great lineup of well, they have Sean Balfe and Adam Carroll, who is pretty much raced everything and anything and won in everything and anything he's ever raced in.
Yeah, and came very close to Formula One as well. That's the one thing he missed out on.
The one that got away.
Yeah, we do of course have a few ex-F1 testers and drivers in this field, including Christian Klein, Andy Soucek, who tested with Williams after winning the 2009 Formula 2 title. A great fact for all motorsport stat nerds, that is. You know, there's a lot of variety in this field, and a lot of the pro drivers do come from single-seaters. They actually probably wouldn't have raced on Paul Ricard in their single-seater careers, because the circuit went through redevelopment kind of in the early 2010s, didn't it? And came back into popularity. Well,
it's hosted the French Grand Prix since 1971, but then it sort of underwent a change of ownership. Bernie Eccleston came in and bought it and decided to close it down. It became exclusively a testing track and redeveloped it into that. And actually, the Toyota F1 team used it as their base. That they had their own entry actually built for the Mistral Straight. So they found it great round here because of it's so flat and it's just a brilliant track for testing. And then it reopened in 2009 as a racetrack, and then 2020 celebrated its 50th anniversary. So 51 years now here at Paul Ricard at the Le Castellet. Although we're not quite experiencing south of France weather at the moment. It was very nice yesterday, but it has increasingly gotten greyer and colder, which is going to have an effect on trying to get heat into these tyres, and perhaps why we're not seeing times improving too dramatically. But let's see, because it now looks like drivers are going to get ready for their another run at it, as most of them are in the pits, but they're starting to come out now as we go on board with Christian Klein, currently in 15th position, the former Formula One driver, or the 2003 Formula 3 Masters champion, however you want to put it.
Yeah. Alternatively, yeah. Now we can finally see the windsock in the private airport opposite the circuit. It is actually blowing, and in Euro Formula qualifying earlier it wasn't. So we've now got a headwind going down the back straight, which Christian Klein has just completed, and a tailwind for the pit straight. So it's going to be very helpful for slipstreams in one direction and not as much in the other direction. Christian Klein has driven this circuit numerous times, has driven in GTOpen numerous times as well. He's doing a very good job right now. We can see him. It's great to have onboards with these drivers, seeing almost different demands that cars have for these drivers, where they're front-engined, rear-engined. You know, if the co-driver wants specific setup requirements, and therefore the pro driver has to adapt to that. These really tricky final few corners. Coming into the final corner, where we have seen quite a bit of track limits violations. He kept it within the outer lines there at the final curb. He is going to cross the line. He's currently in 15th place on a 2:09, and he doesn't jump up the order.
I think he's properly going for it now, actually, just starting a flying lap. By the looks of it, I think we saw him warming up his tyres a tad on the Minstrel Straight, so we'll see how he fares. But Christian Klein as well, not a stranger to international GT or Euro Formula either. He was the vice champion of Euro Formula when it was in its guise in 2003 as well. The 38-year-old from Austria. But now let's have a look at the Lamborghini here of the VSR Vincenzo Sospiri Racing Team. Absolutely, we didn't see any Lamborghinis last year, so it's so great to have them back. And then at the number 19 car, it's Baptiste Moulin at the wheel, currently in 10th, 2.8 seconds off the pace. But he is the fourth pro car at the moment. And it's interesting, actually, we're seeing a lot of the Pro-Am cars and drivers at the top of the field. And a great run by Am driver Florian Schulze, currently in 7th.
Yeah, he did do that a few times last year, kind of jumped up the order and did very well. More in racing than qualifying, because when it comes down to, you know, the professional racing drivers do have that kind of edge to get it when it's really needed, whereas the less experienced drivers find it almost easier in the races, because, you know, you build up that mileage, you find the rhythm, and you go lap after lap after lap. And yet Christian Klein is definitely on it. After setting his personal best final sects on the previous lap, he's now put in 2 more personal bests in sectors 1 and 2, which provisionally look like they're going to put him on pole position. We just had another lap deleted for Giuseppe Cipriani, who's in the AM class, number 8, and track limits at turn 10. Christian Klein coming through the final few corners, these really difficult ones, the right, then the left, and then the ever going left, and then right once more, coming into the pit straight.
What can he do? purple 1, purple 2. Can he make it purple 3 and go pole for JP Motorsport from Germany, racing a McLaren 720S GT3. Can't find any time in that final sector, but it does shoot him up into 4th for Christian Clean currently.
Yeah, and Loris Spinelli, who's in 3rd place, is back on track. He's done a very slow first sector, so he's on his outlap. There's 10 minutes to go this session, and we're seeing outlaps of 2:08. So Christian Clean just set a 2:09.51. So 3 or 4 laps for each of these drivers who are on track. We've still got our top 2, Nico Bastian and Jordan Pepper, in the pits. They've been in the pits for a long, long time now, as has Dominic Schrammel in 6th place.
Yeah, Jordan Pepper actually been right on the pace from the very start. I think if he wasn't in 1st, he was in 2nd. So the Team Lazarus Bentley going well so far at the hands of Jordan Pepper, who is an official Bentley factory driver as well. Bathurst 12-hour winner from 2020, and this is his debut in the International GTOpen, so he'll be hoping for some good fortune. But we're carrying on board with Christian Clean, who will also be hoping that their good fortune carries over from last year, where they won in the first race, although it was I don't want to say luck, because luck is always a controversial word in motorsport, but it was a good win for them and vice champions overall.
Yeah, and it's a very controversial end to the season, that was, which is why you should always tune into International GTOpen races. You really never know what's going to happen, very much in the second stint of each race as well. We're now following the number 72 car on track. That is Joe Osborne in 5th place. He is improving in the 1st and 2nd sector. He's got the track all to himself right now, so no benefit of a slipstream. He's come through these final corners. The car got very tail happy. He almost turns it on point there, which isn't going to be good for the tyres or pace. He's kept the lights on, so it is getting quite cloudy, because you can see the reflection actually of the lights on the track in the shadow almost. Coming through the final 2 corners now, he looks very planted, straight on the brakes. I imagine he's a left foot braker. With that kind of performance. Coming through the final corner now, gets the car turned. That rear end is really pointy on that McLaren. I want to ask them about their setup now. That's very interesting. Joe Osborne still in 5th, goes up to 3rd place, 0.062 seconds off pole. So Bastian and Pepper need to respond now they're on track, because it looks like the track has got faster. Yeah,
a very good lap from the man from Bedford in the United Kingdom. 32-year-old Joe Osborne goes 3rd, but it is still Nico Bastian and Jordan Pepper who have now come out of the pit lane. So they've seen that and gone, right, okay, we need to probably give it another run.
Yeah, and the wind's picked up as well. There's a really strong tailwind going down the pit straight, and an even stronger headwind going down the other way. We're following Loris Spinelli now. He's now going faster, so he's currently in 4th. Probably going to take pole position here, also sliding at that corner. So that is in the final sector of the lap. A lot of drivers seem to be struggling there. It looks like just the rear tyres just aren't gripping at all as they put their foot down back on the throttle to exit the corner. So very tricky corner for the drivers.
2 podiums in 2019 GTOpen for Loris Spinelli, Spain and Monza. And currently 3/10 up in the middle sector. Purple 1st sector, purple 2nd sector, coming through the final corner, turn 15 now, onto the start-finish straight. Where can Loris Spinelli put it? He puts it on pole. Not too shabby from Loris Spinelli. The number 47 goes 3/10 clear from Nico Bastian in the number 48. So the number 47 and the number 48 doing chronological orders, an absolute treat. Both, interesting, both Pro-Ams at the top as well, in front of the Pro of Jordan Pepper. Yeah, so obviously, you know, there is a bit of Pro representation in those Pro-Am cars, but, you know, it's very, very close, actually. 7/10 of the top 5 cars, several manufacturers in that top 5 as well. So really good start to the International GTOpen season so far in qualifying. 16 cars on track. We're going to have more, actually, in the races this weekend. With the GTOpen Europe cars joining in, and the next round of Spa-Francorchamps we're going to have even more cars, so it's almost warming up for more. Warning flag at turn 9 for car 63 and car 19 for hitting the bollard. So they're calling them bollards, I call them paddles. Bollard sounds a bit more impressive, so we'll go with that from now on. But those are to deter drivers from breaking track limits. We're seeing Nico Bastian go fastest of anyone in the 1st sector, so this is his first flying lap since exiting the pits, and
Actually, Christian Klean's just beaten that split by less than a tenth of a second as well. So we're potentially going to have 3 contenders for provisional pole on this lap.
Yeah, Loris Spinelli going for another run as well. This is his second run, and he's up on that as well. So he's still able to find time, even on a second run, but only doing personal bests right now. At the moment, Nico Bastian has just gone purple in the middle sector. It's very tight at the top. As I said at the start of the show, it is tighter than ever between all the categories of racing we have here. And the grids are only going to get bigger as the season goes on. This is just the beginning, just a little warm-up. But what can Loris Spinelli do in the number 47? The man from Italy, 25 years old, comes on to the start-finish straight. Can he improve on his time? Unless he can. 4/10 of a second he found in that final sector.
But watch out for the cars that are about to follow him through, because it's getting very close. Now following the number 88, is that? No, 18. 48 even. I need glasses. Bastian now goes on provisional pole, 1 minute 59.926, 2 tenths up. And we've got 2 more about to cross the line. We've got Joe Osborne and Christian Klean in pursuit as well.
We've broken the 2-minute barrier now with that lap from Nico Bastian. He goes 1:59.9. Christian Klean, personal best in the first sector and the second sector, coming through the final turn 15 corner now onto the start finish straight. There's the old pit lane entry on the right there, and across the line now can only do third. He was down nearly half a second in that final sector, so not finding as much speed, the JP Motorsport guys.
Yeah, and it looks like Joe Osborne may have the same, because we haven't seen his final sector split yet, and he was only a few seconds behind Christian Klean as they went down the back straight. We're now following him through actually another part of the lap. I'm not quite sure what's happened here, but Joe Osborne was in the final sector of the lap. I imagine he still is now, potentially. Anyway, we've still got Nico Bastian on pole provisionally, 1 minute 59.926.
I think Joe Osborne went into the pit lane. So I think he's gone into the pits to... well, that might be his day done, actually. But yeah, it is Nico Bastian with a 1:59.9, currently following that beautiful black and gold livery JP Motorsport car. As we see on the timing screen, so Nico Bastian finding more time in that middle sector. Loris Spinelli not, crucially. So Nico Bastian might just be able to wrap this up for him. I say that, Jordan Pepper is now doing personal bests in the middle sector. Not by much, though. I don't think it's going to be enough to really hype him up the order that much. Currently 5th for the team Lazarus Bentley, but he goes 3rd. So as I say that, he does get into the top 3, 2/10 off Nico Bastian. But he was 2/10 up in that final sector.
And now Spinelli's in the pit, so he's not going to respond now.
Well, Bastian's the only one finding time on that final run.
Yeah, we've got a...
And he finds nearly half a second.
That is a huge amount. It's very much in the final sector as well. 4/10 up on Pepper, who had literally seconds earlier set the personal best of anyone in that final sector. So we've now got the top 5 cars covered by 0.89 seconds again. So it is very close. And if drivers had been on the track at the same time with the same track conditions, it'd be even closer. We're seeing the disparity almost in kind of track conditions as much as disparity in pace. Florian Scholes improving again, who's currently provisional pole for the AM class. He's just gone 7th fastest, 1.5 seconds off pole. He's ahead of 3 of the 4 pro cars right now.
That's very impressive.
Brilliant job. And car 48, actually no, Nico Bastian, car 48, his 1 minute 59.647 has been deleted for track limits 10:15, so he's gone back to his previous lap, which was also good enough for pole, 1 minute 59.9, and he's now 2/10 ahead rather than 4.
Jordan Pepper, though, finding time on this lap, currently sits in 3rd in the pro category, 2/10 behind Bastian, but he's found nearly 2/10 in the middle sector. But can he make that gap even more in that beautiful team Bentley, which just seems like it's bigger than all the other cars?
Yeah, designed and developed by Christian Leroux of M Sport, who has recently gone off to the Hyundai World Rally team, but he's still working, I believe, on the Bentley program of sorts. So that's big news in the world of GT racing at the moment, and what that could mean if, I don't know, Hyundai ever made a GT car down the line.
I think we'd all love to see that. They're coming through the final sector. What can Jordan Pepper do? Could he put it on pole? It's quite a possibility. No, he can't. He can't find enough. He's slow in that final sector, so he stays in 3rd. And I imagine We won't see many other improvers after that, with the majority of the teams and drivers in the pit lane right now, unless Pepper has another run straight away, but I don't think he will.
Yeah, and all the other cars are on track right now that are Florian Scholz and Frederick Sandorf. They aren't improving. They actually set their personal best on the previous lap, and then they've gone quite slowly in the first 2 sectors since. So they're all probably heading back to the pits now. And Alfredo will be interviewing our provisional pole sitters, we expect. Car number 48 parking up. Lovely little lollipop there to tell him when to stop, and a bollard as well. You know, some GT drivers are quite rude and they just go oomph and knock over the bollard, and the person behind it is like, what were you doing that for? Not much celebration there for Nico Bastian.
Oh, there it is.
Bit delayed.
Well, it is Nico Bastian on pole in the number 48 car, the HTP Women Motorsport team, driving that Mercedes-AMG GT3, and this follows on for some pretty impressive testing actually, with both Bastian and Loris Spinelli, who was second behind him, both up in the top 2 consistently across pre-season testing as well. So they're carrying that form through nicely, and Jordan Pepper will be 3rd for the team Bentley. But I say that, he's having another go, Jordan Pepper. He's not giving this up just yet. Nearly a 10th up in the middle sector. But it's that final sector that is proving to be the end of all things.
Yeah, he's down and up simultaneously, so he's pretty much matched with Bastian after 2 sectors right now. It's going to be very difficult for him to master that final sector, I think. Seeing him through the final corners. Braked quite early there, but then got the car turned in earlier than we saw the McLarens getting turned in there. Final corner is going to be crucial here. Very smooth, no, and he's gone past track limits. I don't think that lap is going to count.
Bit squiggly on the rear on the way out there, and even if it did help him, it didn't, because 3.5 tenths and the lap time has been deleted as well. So no, well, it was worth a try, Jordan, worth a try. But he finishes in 3rd, which is not too bad a place to start from.
And he is obviously on pro class pole as well, yeah. And in 7th place, Florian Scholz, our AM class pole sitter.
Christian Klein's done a good job as well to get up to 4th as they understand that JP Motorsport car ever more, just under half a second back, and that the top 5 covered by 6/10 of a second. But there is your pole man. Nico Bastian will start from pole for Winwood. Then it's Loris Spinelli in the AKM Motorsport. Jordan Pepper is 3rd. Christian Klein 4th. Joe Osborne in 5th for Inception Racing. Dominic Schramel. Florian Schulze is the 1st of the AMs in the AKM Motorsport car. Al Faisal Al Zubair in their first proper qualifying session for Letna Racing is 8th. Frederick Shandorf 9th, and Baptiste Moulon in the Vincenzo Sospiri Racing Team car rounds out your top 10.
We've got 2 Mercedes in top 2, Bentley, McLaren, Mercedes, Porsche, Lamborghini. So great variety in that top 10.
I was going to say it's an all Mercedes front row lockout. Where have we seen that before? Here's your 11th though. It's Brendan Irie been 11th. Sean Balfe for Balfe Motorsport in 12th. Jens Renault Muller is 13th. Jan Seifert 14th. Giuseppe Cipriani in the Barone Rampant Racing car is 15th. And Francois Grimm in the Boutsen Guignon, that Soul car there, will round out the field. But what a brilliant qualifying session we've had here. Do join us for race 1, which kicks off later today around 4:45 local time. We'll see you then. But let's have a look back at some of the highlights from that qualifying session. And it was a really interesting qualifying session, really, because we've had more and more wind developing, and it's getting colder and grey. We're looking at the number 8 car of Giuseppe Cipriani there, who was the 3rd AM driver in the end, finished 15th overall, so not a bad run for him. 2:03.6 for him. Jan Seifert in the second of the AM cars. He'll line up 2nd for AM, but 14th overall. But Jordan Pepper was really giving it some right up to the very end, but just couldn't find that final sector lap time to put him on pole. But he is the pro pole. He'll start 3rd overall. The Letna Racing team made a great start to their GTOpen full campaign with Al Faisal Al Zubair in the car. They'll line up 8th in the pro category. The number 14 Mercedes as well of Florian Scholz doing an absolutely brilliant effort ahead of 3 pole drivers in 7th. Balfe Motorsport in that beautiful Audi R8 with Sean Balfe at the wheel. They'll start 12th. for the race this afternoon. Adam Carroll alongside him as well. He'll come in for the second qualifying tomorrow. Inception Racing were right up there as well. Brendan Irie down at 11th though. Joe Osborne managing to be up in 5th. And isn't it good to see the Lamborghinis back in the International GTOpen? That is Baptiste Moulin there, who had a great run to 10th, the 4th pro car. But he will start 10th overall. But it's a long race. Let's talk to our pole man.
Nico Bastian, the best way to start the season is with a pole position.
Yeah, definitely. Was a very good day. Already yesterday we felt that we are competitive enough to be now on pole, but yeah, you have to bring it together. Even with the first set, I was P1, but not really happy. We did a change for the second run, and then the time came just automatically. It was really good. Yeah, thanks to the team because they did the right call with the change on the car, and then just the driver has to deliver and to bring it home, and this is what I have done. So happy with the start of the season, but now the race counts for sure.
We have seen that the Mercedes so far in those couple of days have been very fast here at Ricard. It's not a novelty. You can go for the race?
Yes, the tire wear of the Mercedes is really good. So I think even over the distance we will be very strong. I'm just a bit scared of the straights because we are too slow on the straights compared to Bentley and McLaren. So we have to survive the first few laps, and if I can pull a little gap between the cars and myself, then I think we should be okay for the rest of the race. But as you know, after the driver change, then it's a new story, the new race begins. No mistakes are important. So yeah, in the end, we have a fair chance, but again, we have to bring it home.
We'll see in a few hours. Thank you, well done.
Thank you.
Nico Bastian there, your pole man, scared of the straights. And to be fair, he's rightly scared, but because those Bentleys and McLarens are fast.
Yeah, but you know, it's in the corners where the races are won, especially the first one, and that's where a lot of drivers lose their races as well.
Indeed, as we saw last year as well, but we will find out later today when race 1 gets underway for the International